Hey bro, I've went from literal brain rot to the hyperfocus magician within 2 weeks, and all I've done is follow this 3 simple step plan, which is hyperfocus, self-ascension, and tracking. I didn't do anything else, and I've managed to go from being able to focus for 1 minute every single day, I'm not even joking, I tracked this, to being able to focus for upwards of 8 hours every single day. This is pure deep work, by the way. This is not just me watching YouTube in the middle of it. This is me actually working hard on the tasks. And I cannot explain how much progress I've made in the last month compared to the last year. And the weird thing is, I did not waste time watching random self-help videos like probably you do, and I didn't constantly drink black coffee to keep me productive, and I've managed to focus for more than 5 hours a day on business while in school. And if you don't learn to be productive, you will get destroyed by the competition who are full-time doing this. They will blow you out the water, mate. And this video is mainly for business owners who are struggling to focus on business and make money online, and it's also people who are struggling to balance school, gym, business at the same time, because I know this is a problem I really struggled with, and I've managed to fix it using a simple 3-step plan. And I'm not going to pitch anything in this video. I know you probably hate it when creators spend like majority of the video just pitching their product. So with that being said, this is what you're going to learn in this focus guide, this full course, however you want to see it. So the first thing we're going to go over is phase 1, which is hyperfocus. You're going to learn the hidden concept that is killing your attention right now, and it's all about attentional spaces. And I know for a fact you have not heard anything about this. Nobody talks about this, which is really weird. And you're also going to learn the switcher method for tapping into hyperfocus on demand. And this is all about your physical environment and your mindsets. We're then going to go on to phase 2, which is self-ascension. Great name, I know. And in this phase, you're going to learn internal ascension, which is how to control your mental attentional space and maximize your focus when you're doing deep work. And you're also going to learn the anti-burnout mindset that will hack your brain to be productive for 99% of the day. After that, you're going to learn about tracking, which is by far the most important part of productivity and actually learning to focus. In this phase, you're going to learn the hyperfocus checklist, which basically allows you to instantly fall into deep work with no effort required. Okay, so this is by far the most important part. And you're also going to learn the savior to productivity. So this is like all the systems that practically put my productivity on autopilot. That was a mouthful. And by the way, you're probably wondering why the hell I'm wearing sunglasses. You're probably thinking like this is a secret to focusing for 12 hours a day, but no, I just want to look cool, to be honest, mate. So I do not want to waste any more of your time. I'm going to get straight into the video. This is all about hyperfocus, and if we actually want to learn to focus, because this is a learnable skill anyone can master, we need to first learn about attentional spaces. So an attentional space is the space which holds everything that currently has our attention. So for example, right now, this video is in your attentional space. Maybe you've got music playing in the background. Maybe you're sitting on the toilet, you're pooing, right? That is in your attentional space. And basically, hyperfocus is a state where you're so immersed in the task, it's impossible to get distracted. And the way we achieve hyperfocus is by filling the task into our attentional space. So there's no other things taking up our attention, it's just that task. So the way I like to think of this is like RAM in a PC. RAM basically controls the performance of the PC. The point is, if we have multiple things that is taking up this RAM, like, I don't know, Google, we've got 50 million Google tabs open, we've got a game open, we are not going to be able to focus on anything because it's split all across our attentional space. But if we just have one thing, one video game open, we're going to be able to lock in so much easier. And the funny thing is, most people don't understand this, but we can actually change the size of our attentional space. And this is how we get into a hyper-focused state. When we make our attentional space bigger, we can focus on more things at once. And when we do that, we can lock in on our tasks much easier, right? It's self-explanatory. And the problem you're facing right now is you probably start deep work, you're good for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But then you get distracted, you go on YouTube, you go and start scrolling. But the reason why this happens is because the brain starts to get bored. The brain starts to think of other stimulating things to do instead of doing that thing, right? Because that's all the brain wants, it just wants to be stimulated. And to counter this problem that you're facing right now, we must always be aware of what's in our attentional space. So we have to constantly check in on ourselves and ask ourselves, what is in our attentional space? Are we on YouTube? Have we got millions of tabs open now, consuming our attention, right? And if you don't do that, it's basically like putting a supercharger on a peel. If you don't know anything about cars, this is what a peel is. It's like putting a bloody giant supercharger on that. It may look cool, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be able to go as fast as like a Lamborghini. It's a weird analogy, but I'm weird, mate, so get used to it. So the first action step I want you to do to fix your attention and allow yourself to focus much easier on a task is pause the video, write down what's currently taking up your attentional space and cut out all the things you do not need. So right now, is it only this video that is consuming your attentional space? Have you got the comments open? Are you looking at the YouTube sidebar looking for the next dopamine video? And you're probably thinking this is super cool, right? You're learning about attentional spaces, you're learning about superchargers and peels, but you're probably wondering, how the hell do you actually focus? How do I stop being distracted and allow myself to work for 8+ hours a day with no distractions and actually start to progress in business or anything you're trying to do? Well, I believe there's only two things stopping you from achieving hyperfocus, and no one else is talking about this. I've not seen anyone else mention these two things, but yet it's the only two things that have worked for me. So I'm going to take you through these three things, and these things are from the book Hyperfocus, and this is by Chris Bailey, but this is basically taken from another book called Flow. And this book basically tells us how to get into a flow state and stay focused for long periods of time, okay? So he says, when the challenge of completing a task is roughly equal to our ability to do so, we can get into a flow state. This is basically when we are at the same skill level of the task. It's not too difficult, it's not too easy, and this allows us to put all our attention onto the task. But when our skills greatly exceed the demands of a task, we feel bored, and this means we're going to look for other stimulating things like YouTube. And also, when the demands of a task exceed our skills, we feel anxious, and when we feel anxious, we're going to start overthinking, we're going to start procrastinating, and we're going to load up YouTube, and we're not going to be able to do any work whatsoever. These two bottom problems are what you're facing right now. You may have got both, but usually these are the two reasons why people struggle to focus and why they keep on getting distracted, okay? So the way we solve boredom is simply by making the task harder to do. But we have to work for longer hours and we have to do more volume. And I know you're probably thinking, this doesn't make sense. We're trying to focus, and if we make the task harder, we're not going to be able to focus, right? But the thing is, when we're bored, the task isn't filling our attentional space, and this is what we want, but really the task is only filling this part, it's only filling this tiny circle, and there's other things. And that means we're not going to be able to put our full focus onto it. So this is why we have to make the task harder, so it consumes our full attention. To solve feeling anxious and making the task like easy to do so it actually fills up our attentional space, is we need to find ways to make the task much easier to do. So this can be maybe like rewarding yourself at the end of the focus session. But I just want you to know this is the two main reasons why you struggle to focus. It's one of these. But when we actually solve this, we can get into a flow state much easier, and we're not going to get distracted simply because the task has filled our attentional space. The goal at the end of the day to actually maximize our focus is to make the big tasks fully fill out our attentional space. I just want you to think back to the last work session you did or you tried, right? And just think to all the things that were in your mind, all the things that were distracting you. Maybe you had YouTube open, maybe you had like Instagram scrolling reels, stuff like this, Mr. Beast videos. And once we solve this, there's only one more thing we need to do to achieve hyperfocus, okay? And that is removing all other distractions that are stimulating more than the task. And this is where the switcher method comes in. This is part 2. Because when we get rid of anything that is more stimulating or attractive in our environment, we force our mind to focus on the task. Because let's just say you had your phone next to you when you're trying to, I don't know, do some deep work. You were trying to do your schoolwork, you were trying to work on your business, and you had your phone next to you. The chances of you working are going to be like 1%, because that phone is so much more stimulating than sitting at a monitor doing this, typing on a keyboard, right? It's like, man, where are you going to work? You're going to work in this weird office where you got tons of papers, tons of distractions. You've probably got millions of phones here as well. You got the Overwatch 2 playing in the background. Or you're going to work here where you've got nothing on your desk and it's literally just you. You've got plants that give you oxygen. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to make up excuses here. But the point is, you're obviously going to work much better in this environment, are you? And this is why so many like focus videos, how to be productive, it's simply just saying destroy the distractions in your life, because it's true. You're not going to be able to focus when you have all these other things in your life that are taking your attention away from the task. So what I want you to do right now is just look around. What distractions do you have? Obviously you've got YouTube open because you're watching this video, but when you're working, do you have YouTube open? Do you have tons of Google tabs open? Do you have your phone? Do you have loud noises in the back of your mind? Do you have like construction workers outside your house or something? I want you to list out everything, and I want you to get rid of every single distraction in your life, because for every single problem that follows physics, there's always going to be a solution for it. So if your phone keeps on distracting you, turn your phone off and put it in another room. If YouTube keeps on distracting you, get a web blocker for YouTube. Like I use this one called Unhook, which basically turns YouTube into a blank page. So even if I get distracted and I load up YouTube, I'm not going to click on a random video because there's nothing there. There's literally nothing for me to get stimulated by. And another thing that really helps me when I'm working is listening to isochronic tones. And this especially works for people who like cannot work without some sound in the background. So like I'm one of those people, I cannot work in silence for some reason. I've tried it. I've tracked my productivity, nothing works. But as soon as I listen to isochronic tones, it really helps me. And it basically puts me into this flow state where I can work for 8 hours. So I'd really recommend going on Spotify, putting your earphones in, getting noise cancelling earphones, and just put all your attention onto the work with some isochronic tones. It doesn't even have to be that, it can be just some like ambience in the background. That just really helps me. Bucko. Now we're going to move on to phase 2, which is self-ascension, and this allows you to ascend past the hyperfocus state into an even more powerful state. Do you know when you're like playing Minecraft with your friends and you say you're going to play for 1 hour, 1 hour goes by and you check the time again and it feels like 5 minutes and then it's like 5 PM. You've wasted like 5 hours playing video games, right? This is when we get into a flow state so powerful. We ascend past the time, right? And we become Zenyatta from Overwatch. We become so locked in. We literally just like ascend past everything. So the first thing we're going to go over in phase 2 is all about the 2 types of distractions. I've already gone into the external distractions, which is like phone, YouTube, sound, stuff like this, but I have not gone into internal distractions. And this is by far the most important part of this video, because I know for a fact you watching this video have multiple internal distractions going on in your mind right now, because there's 2 types of distractions you can have. You've got internal and you've got external. Now the usual reason why people cannot focus is usually because they have unresolved issues in their personal life, and this usually manifests into negative thoughts, anxiety, and that stops us from focusing. It takes up a portion of our attentional space, and it means we cannot lock in. And when I was actually struggling to focus, when I was focusing for like 1 minute a day, the reason why this was happening was simply because I had tons of negative thoughts in my mind. So I was working on a business model at the time called copywriting, and I was really struggling to land clients. I was really struggling to see success, and this led to so much self-doubt, so much fear for the future, right? That I literally could not even do the work anymore. I had all these unresolved problems in my mind. I had terrible mental health that literally stopped me from working. And when it happens, your mind will always be thinking about these things. And a task will never fill your attentional space. Like I said at the start, if you actually want to get into a hyper-focused state, you need to make the task fill out your full attentional space. And after reading a ton of like productivity books and watching a ton of productivity videos, I've really only found one solution to this problem. And can I get a drum roll, please? You probably already know what this is, and it is meditation. Now before you click off and you get that shiny object syndrome, you've already heard meditation, you've already tried it and it doesn't work, you can't focus, it doesn't give you superhuman focus with 5 minutes of meditation a day. Let me explain. You see, meditation is the only thing that teaches your brain to focus on one thing at a time, and this means you'll be less likely to fall victim to random distractions. So I'll give you an example. So like the other day, I was doing my deep work, so this was like hour 3, and I was probably like scripting some videos, doing some video ideation, something like that, right? Some like random mundane task that I don't want to do. And during that time, I remember getting the impulse to go and watch YouTube because I wanted to stimulate myself. The work was really boring, right? And obviously YouTube is much more stimulating, but instead of actually falling victim to that distraction and actually loading up YouTube, I didn't, and I just put all my focus back onto the task. And the reason why this happened was because of meditation. I taught my brain to always refocus onto one thing and not get distracted by random other things. So like I said with the video game example, if you've ever been so locked in on a video game, time flies by and you're focused on winning, and that's what meditation does to you. When you're working, it doesn't even feel like work. Like for me, I don't see it as work because it's enjoyable for me. It's literally more stimulating than video games. And that's simply because I've done everything in this video. I've got rid of all the other stimulating distractions, and that means this deep work that I'm trying to do is going to be the most stimulating thing I can do. If you're sitting here and you've tried meditation before and you're saying it doesn't work, you've probably done it wrong, okay? So the way I meditate is I sit straight for 5 to 10 minutes every single morning, and I basically just focus on the breath as much as possible. And the main goal is to try and keep your attention onto the breath for as long as you can. But every single time you lose focus, you wander in your thoughts, so you just get distracted, you refocus on your intention, you refocus on the breath, and once you do this enough, it basically reflects onto your work. I cannot stress this enough, bro. You need to start meditating because it's the biggest ROI thing you can do, and it's the only way I've been able to level up my focus, because it is a learnable skill. You can level it up like going to the gym, you can level it up like playing a video game. And another internal distraction you can have is when you're worrying about something when you're working. And the reason why this is bad is because you're constantly going to be thinking about the things. Maybe you've got like a presentation coming up and you're worrying about it. You don't want to present in front of all these people, right? You're just going to be thinking about that one thing in your mind. And the way to solve this is simply by making a worry list. So, because when you write it all down, it makes it not seem as bad as anything else. Because the thing you have to realize is humans suffer more in imagination than in reality. This is a quote by Seneca, I think, but it's totally right. So if you're worrying about something right now, simply just write it down and I guarantee you won't worry about it as much because it's like, it doesn't seem that bad if you look at it from a third party perspective. And after 2 weeks, I guarantee you won't get distracted. If you cut out all the external and internal distractions you're facing in your life, you will not get distracted and you'll be able to focus on much longer hours. So I'm going to follow the arrow to phase 3. So this is a very long arrow. I do apologize for this. Jesus Christ. So this is phase 3 now. And this is all about the tracking phase. And the reason why I wanted to put this in is because if you can't measure something, you can't improve it. This is the quote by Lord Kelvin I love. So for example, when you're trying to get customers, you're doing cold outreach for your business, you have to measure to see what works. If you don't measure, you're never going to know what works and you're never going to get any clients. And as soon as I start tracking that, I started to get clients for my copywriting business. That's just a weird example, but you know, if you don't know anything about business, you probably don't understand any of that. And basically, productivity is like anything else in your life. It's just like your business. If you do not have systems in place, you will not be able to improve your productivity, and you'll stay in this place where you keep on getting distracted. And one of the main things I've done to improve my productivity is make a bunch of things I can track my productivity with. Like, for example, I have a deep work tracker, and this is basically the system process. You have an input, you go through the process, and then it turns into an output, and then you reiterate the system based on the feedback you've got, or like the results you've got, how hard you're working. And when you don't reiterate your productivity, like changing your diet, like the hours you're working, task prioritization, stuff like this, you won't improve your productivity because it's literally just like driving in the dark. You don't have headlights, it's pitch black, right? Eventually you're going to crash into something. You're going to crash into, like, I don't know, a tree. You're going to crash into a building or something like that. You're probably going to die, to be honest. It's a reality, mate. But that's what's going to happen. You're literally driving in the dark if you do not track your productivity, and you won't be able to work. So, like, bro, I'm not lying. When I said I have this deep work analyzer, I do use it. So I'm going to share this tab. I think it's going to work. My face is going to appear soon. 3, 2, 1. Boom! There we go. This is my deep work analyzer, and you can find this in the description if you want it. But basically, this is what I use. So I put the date I'm doing deep work. I put how long I'm going to do the work for, what the goals of the deep work session are, what distracted me during the deep work session, and how we can actually eliminate the distraction in the future. You can clearly see that I can improve my productivity based on these analytics, right? So you can pick that up in the description. Let's go. And another thing I barely mention in my videos is a software called Rise, and this literally changed my productivity. It allows me to see what I'm spending all my time doing. You can see this just works, and I use it every single day. Every single time I do my deep work, I track it. So I really recommend getting this Rise software. It's completely free because it's just a great software. I really recommend getting it. And we're getting towards the end now, but there's just one more thing I want you to show you. This is links to the tracking, but this is also something I go through every single deep work session I'm trying to do. I go through every single one of these questions that basically maximize my chances of focusing, right? So I asked myself, have I optimized my physical environment for maximum deep work? So this is like putting my phone in the other room, blocking out external noises, going to the toilet so it doesn't distract me while I'm working. That trust me, that really does distract you. And also just drinking lots of water. The next question is, have I optimized my digital environment to maximize deep work? And this is basically quitting all the apps that might distract me, so like YouTube. And have I activated all web extensions that block YouTube and other distractions? Have I logged out of all the apps that are distracting me, like Discord? Have I quit them? And the last question is to do with awareness. Do I actually know what task I'm trying to do? Do I know how long I'm going to be doing the task for? Do I know the importance of the task we're doing? When you know all these things, it makes it so much easier to work because it gets you into the mindset of focusing. It builds this daily ritual of focus. So we've now finished the video. I'm not going to pitch you anything at the end of the video, like I've already said. And the only thing I want to leave you with is this. I want you to right now try focusing with everything I've taught you. Set a 25-minute timer, clean your environment, meditate for 5 minutes, track your productivity using the resources in the description, fill the task into your intentional space. Because I guarantee if you do all this, you'll be able to focus so much easier. It's insane. Because this is basically everything I've done, everything I've used to go from 1 minute of brain rot to bloody 12 hours of work. And I've literally tripled my results simply by doing this much, okay? And the best part is I find all of this fun. It's so much more stimulating than doing video games and stuff like that. So I really hope this video was valuable for you. I really hope you can level up your focus. I'm gonna stay good at a win in the face again. Goodbye. Whoa! Oh god.